Third, as I hear the organ, we have certainty of divine oversight, certainty of divine outcome, certainty of divine operation, and certainty of divine oversight. In verse 31, he says, if God be for us, who can be against us? God oversees our trouble. After all that Paul had described in verses 28 to 30, he asked the question, what shall we then say in response to these things? Say here is in the future tense, which means it addresses a future action. You presently know something. God did actions in the past, but there's an expectation that you do something in response in the future. It means the beginning of an action is in view. You haven't started saying it yet, but Paul is saying after I get through unpacking this for you, it should prompt a response of praise in your heart. You shouldn't just sit there and know that God has worked it out already for your good, and you do nothing but stand there with your arms folded. Paul is saying that there is a praise that is warranted. His oversight, God, is conditional. The phrase, if God be for us, who can be against us, is what they call a conditional frame. The condition, if God be for us, is not the most important information in the frame. It just sets up the most important piece of this frame. What follows the condition, who can be against us, is the most important piece of this frame. In other words, no one can be against us only if God be for us. If God ain't for you, you don't need to read the next part of this clause. It only applies to those who God is for. His oversight is also confederate. For means to be over, and indicates that an activity or event is in some entity's best interest. In other words, the event is God being for us, so he is in our best interest. The word against is a preposition that means down upon. It means to be against, to be in opposition to someone or something. Now, it does not mean that we won't face opposition, because every Christian here will acknowledge we face some opposition. But what it means is that the opposition won't hurt us. Isaiah says that no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rise up against you in judgment, you will condemn that tongue. But the thing I like about this is for is the Greek word huper, and it means to be over. Kata, against, means down upon. And so Paul is saying, let me unwrap this, if God is over you, who can come down upon you? In other words, you worried about the pressure crushing you, but God is the one who's over you, making sure that the weight that's coming in your direction doesn't crush you. In other words, Paul is saying that God who pairs us, he's over us, he's our covering, and if anybody tries to hurt you, God's got your back. If anybody tries to take you out, God's got your back. Who's going to stop you? It's like Superman and the damsel in distress. When Superman sees the car coming off the bridge and the damsel in distress sees the car coming her direction, she screams out for help. But the thing I like about Superman is he gets there just in time over the damsel in distress to stop the car from coming down upon her. And there's somebody here that God sent me to tell you that you shall not die, but you shall live. I come to tell somebody that you shall not be destroyed. I've come to tell somebody that you will not be defeated, because if God is for you, who can be against you? Life has its ups and downs, but we can be certain that God is with us through every up and every down. He is controlling our outcomes, operating from a predetermined plan, and overseeing every aspect of our lives. Our responsibility then, the question I asked in the introduction, is to know these facts and respond with faith. It doesn't matter what your difficulty is. If you presently know that God is working it out for your good, the little bit of trouble you got is just God giving a little leverage to you so you can do a little something. If God bore all the weight, then you would not grow, you would not mature. But because he's there protecting you, covering you, you can be certain that foreclosures, layoffs, deaths, no matter what it is, Paul lays it out in the next 7 verses, nothing will be able to separate us from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus. Clap your hands together and give God praise.